Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio. How is everybody doing today? It's Gail right here, back again with another YouTube video for Danmachi Memoria Freese. And today, we are bringing you a small guide on how you can freely limit break your characters without having to overpull or having to spend money. So of course, if you guys going to enjoy this video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course leave a comment down below. What are you looking forward to the most in terms of, bonding your characters? Which character are you looking to limit break the next? Some might say your assists, some might say your adventures. So I'm curious to see what characters are you looking to limit break next. Of course, we have the 5th anniversary rerun banner coming out this Thursday as well. So I know a lot of people are getting ready to summon or limit break their characters. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say down below in the comments. Now, before we get in, I have to address one point and actually describe a situation in Danmachi that is quite unique in comparison to most games, in all honesty. So the one thing to remember in this game is that there's 3 types of units. There's normal units, time limited units, and now Hero Festa units. So if we go over to my character section, and let's go to the party actually, because it'll be the easiest to access there. So if you look at my party right now, you have an array of units right here. So first and foremost, let's talk about normal units. These normal units are units that generally appear on banners regularly, and then they get put into the general pool / ticket pool. So you can start pulling them from any banner that has the general pool, or if you get tickets, they get added to the ticket pool every 3 months. So this Haruhime is a perfect example of a unit like that. You can see that she has no tag defining that she's a time limited unit or Hero Festa unit, and that she's also freely available to pull from the ticket gacha. So this is one of those units. This is a normal unit. Now we look at a time limited unit, and a time limited unit is usually a collaboration unit, an anniversary unit, or even seasonal units. Some units that may appear on Christmas Day. For example, this Wine is a perfect example of a Christmas seasonal time limited unit. And then we of course have time limited anniversary units like Fiona and Finn. These units only appear on certain banners and they never get added to the general pool or the ticket gacha. So you have to wait for them to rerun on certain banners, and as such they are very hard to limit break over time, because you have to wait for either their rerun or you have to go after the freely limit breaking method that is available for these time limited units. So this is the situation with time limited units. Now, of course, recently in December, we also got the addition of Hero Festa limited units, which are this new rarity, this new type of units that they've added to the game. We've only had one iteration of them, and it's pretty hard to kind of freely dupe the character. And I say in quotes because I'll explain towards the end of the video when we tackle Hero Festa units as to how you can freely limit break them. But Hero Festa units are still new. We're still experiencing them for the very first time, right? And we probably might not get another Hero Festa banner for at least a month minimum. We don't know exactly when the next Hero Festa might happen. It could be at the end of this month. It could be at the start of February. We don't know. We have no idea. But we obviously have this bell, we obviously have the Astreus. You still can technically get free dupes for them, but it's not really free at the same time, and I'll explain why later on in the video. So you do have this Bell, Crenel, and Astreus, and once they start dropping more Hero Festa banners, they will be added to the Hero Festa banners only. So you can't get these units on time limited banners, you can't get them on general banners, you can't get them from the ticket gacha. They will only be on Hero Festa banners. So there, at least I would say, in my personal opinion, they will come back faster than time limited units will, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a lesser chance to pull them, because they're just going to be in the general pool hidden away, and you might have to get a little bit lucky to pull one of these guys. That's one thing to address. We'll have to wait and see on how they're exactly going to operate the banners from here on out when it comes to adding the old Hero Festa units and what they're going to do with the new Hero Festa units. So I've already spoken about the 3 types of units. So why have I described the 3 types of units? Well, each type of unit has actually a different way of limit breaking them. So of course, the normal way is to effectively, just get multiple copies and then you can dupe them. You know, just very easy. Get multiple bonds, you can dupe them easily. But there is also another way for each of these units to basically get a limit breaking item. So if we were to go into this Haruhime, for example, right? Well, I don't think this Haruhime will allow me to do it, so I'll have to look at a 4-star that I have that's not +5 already. So let's say I look at maybe this Ray, for example. This Ray is a normal unit. I haven't gotten her final copy yet. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't have a final copy yet. I wasn't sure if I did. But let's say if I wanted to limit break her without the use of a bond, without the use of her exact bond, what could I do? Well, I click use item, and I have these items called Prism Bond Adventure. Now, these bonds basically allow you to limit break any non-time limited unit in the game for free. Basically, I have 3 of those, so I could literally get a +2 adventure to +5 easily without any issues whatsoever. So that's one way of doing it. Now, of course, with the identification of Prism Bond Adventure, there is also a Prism Bond Assist, so that's something to bear in mind. So of course you can do it both ways. You can't use Prism Bond Adventurers on Assist, and you can't use Prism Bond Assist on Adventurers, so that's something to bear in mind. So how do you get these items? What do you need to do? Well, the first thing you can do is every time an event comes around, right? So for example, we have Valhalla Panic right now. I've already cleared out the exchange shop for the most part. I think I might have some small things left. Well, no, actually, I don't have anything left. But if we were to scroll all the way down, you can see that for 400 of the large currency, you can get hero medals and flame amulets. You only get 1 of each event, but once you get 3 of them, you can then go into the special exchange in the shop and go to at the very bottom, hero medal and flame amulet exchange. You can effectively get 1 Prism Bond and 1 Prism Bond Assist and Adventure respectively every 3 events. Right now I have to wait for 2 more events, and then I can get another Prism Bond Adventure and another Prism Bond Assist. So that way it's very easy to get them super easily. Now, another way you can get these Prism Bonds is effectively through the Saros and Dolb shop. Now, this is where it's a little bit not so free technically, because the way to get Dolb in this game, the blue currency in here, is by selling extra 4-star bonds that you don't need. For example, if I were to go to my inventory right now, go to bond, and if I were to sell multiple items and click the 4-star and sell surplus, I don't have any sellable bonds available right now, but I could in theory do that. Now what I'm going to do is quickly sell some of these 3-star and 2-star bonds I have, and I'm gonna just sell one of these bonds, one of these really old unit bonds, Heroic Liaris Eyes, for example. If I sell one of her bonds, I will get another 10 Dolb along with 50 Saros, which is great. The Saros is obviously not important to what we're talking about, but the Dolb is. So for every bond you sell, for every 4-star bond you sell, you will get 10 Dolb. And in all honesty, of course, if you don't mind selling off some of these old unit bonds, you can obviously get a bunch of Dolb, because quite frankly speaking, let's be real, whenever these Hero Festa banners come around, or when we get anniversary banners where they have these fake 2x rates where technically it's 2x rates, but that's because they've added the general pool, and you'll start pulling older units. You can start selling those off because you will never use them, realistically speaking. In this game, especially with how power creep is, you're rarely gonna use those old units unless you want it for collection purposes, and that's it, right? So you can easily get 1 a month for 100 and 150. And now you might be wondering, well, Gale, why is the Prism Bond Assist so much more valuable in comparison to the Prism Bond Adventure? Well, the simple answer to that is assists at +5 have a bigger jump from +4 than an adventurer from +4 to +5. So the best way to explain it is assists get an extra skill basically at +5, whereas adventurers only get a bit of a stats boost. Not even a big stats boost, a bit of a stats boost at +5. So in my personal opinion, it makes sense why they priced the Prism Bond Assist higher, because when you jump from +4 to +5, their skill gets upgraded, they get stats, whereas the adventurer just gets a small stats boost basically. So in reality, the assist bond is much more valuable than an adventurer bond is. It's one of the reasons why another way to get free bonds, by the way, is if you look at the heroic trials, I always tell players, get the assist bonds because they're much more valuable to players than the adventurer bonds, because it's harder to pull assists, for one. Number two, assists are much better at +5 than they are at +4 in comparison to the jump that adventurers have from +4 to +5. So that's something to bear in mind, of course, as a beginner player, is assists are much more valuable. Assists are way more valuable. Obviously, adventurers are getting to that point, for example, with the Hero Festa units getting skill upgrades in their panels as well. So even now, they're pushing adventurers to be of the same quality as assists, but that's only the Hero Festa units. We haven't experienced that with the normal units whatsoever. So the normal units wise, I would say assists are still much more valuable than adventurers. So there's that. Obviously, heroic trials is another way to get free copies of units as well. So I don't need to, I think, talk about that too much. I've already spoken about that enough. But this is a great way to get a free copy of one of the units that are on this list, of course. I already picked up Tiona. If you guys want to check out those videos, I have a bunch of heroic trial videos always, so you guys can get a better understanding of what heroic trials is and the fact that you can only get one copy of a unit in this event, right? So yeah, that's non-time limited units, right? But there is actually one more way I want to talk about before I go on to time limited units, and this is where I'm going to say this is more so for paying players. If you go into the monthly tab right now, I'm on my free pass right now. I've done 1 month subscription for free, which is available to all players, and I've canceled my subscription. But if you were to keep your monthly subscription and you would go on to the next month, every month you would get a set of prism shards, basically, which you can then use to be able to effectively exchange for prism bonds effectively. So if you go all the way to the bottom and you look at this exchange, prism bond shard exchange, you can get the same amount of hero medals and flame amulets. You need 3 of these shards and they will give you the prism bond adventure or prism bond assist. Now, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't necessarily say this is the craziest value. You're still better off. The best value is literally the Dulb shop or even just farming it every 3 events. But this is an option if you're a paying player, to be quite honest. This is still an option for paying players. And then of course you have bundles as well available to players that can be used to basically get a free prism bond every so often or a free star bond every so often. And speaking of star bonds, let's move on to star bonds and their uses for time limited units. So this one is a bit of an easy one. There's only one way to get star bonds, and that's through the gnome ticket exchange shop. So if you go into special exchange and go to the gnome ticket shop, you can see right here, very similar to the prism bonds. If I were to move my ugly mug all the way to the left, you can see that the value of the star bonds is very similar to that of the Dulb shop and the prism bonds. So it's 1,000 gnome tickets for star bond adventure and it's 1,500 for star bond assist. There is no other way to get star bonds and free dupes for time limited units. The gnome ticket exchange is the only way to get it done. There is no other way, unfortunately, for players to be able to max out their units that is time limited units specifically through free means, in all honesty. The other ways involve you, well, hoping that there is a heroic trial for these units, like for example Wine, right? I managed to get her to +5 thanks to the heroic trial that we had when she came out. So whenever there is usually whenever there's a time limited banner and a time limited event alongside with it, then we will get a heroic trial. Usually it's anniversary, Christmas banners, collaboration events. They usually have a heroic trials where you can get a free copy, but it's only 1 unit from the set basically, right? So these are some of the free ways to get those star bonds. Of course, if you are a paying player, you can buy them. Like right now, for example, if I were to go into the bundle shop, right? And if I were to go to the bundle, if I look here, right? The Divine Loot Bag gives 1 Adventure Star Bond and 1 Assist Star Bond for 1400 paid Iris. There's Prism Bond and Assist Prism Bond in the Deluxe Bag. And then, of course, the Mini Loot Bag is there as well. But there is a ways to get Star Bonds still. Not necessarily completely freely though, so that's something to bear in mind. Now let's talk about the final bond, and that is of course the Hero Festa bonds. Now this one is just not free. I will admit that this is not free right now. Maybe in the future you can make an argument that it will become free in the long term, but right now if we start getting more Hero Festas regularly, for at least I would say 4 or 5 banners minimum for the average player, you're not going to be able to get these bonds easily, because the requirements for these for this banner or for these bonds, I should say specifically, is you have to go to the Bravestone set. And as you guys can see here, we only have the Hero Bond Adventure for now, but I expect Hero Bond Assist to come out soon when we do get an Assist Hero Festa, which I assume will be priced similarly to the Dub Shop as well as the Gnome ticket, where it's 100 for the Adventure Bond, 150 for the Assist Bond. But as you guys can see, I only have 0. So how can you obtain these Bravestones to be able to exchange for these bonds? Well, you need to sell dupes of Hero Festa units in particular. Can't be anything else. Cannot be anything else. There's no other way to farm this. The only way to get it is by selling Hero Festa dupes, which, I mean, not many people will be able to do at all, like I said, until maybe like banner 5 or banner 6, when you might get like the random Bell copy or a Strayus copy because you've already maxed them out, right? Like, for example, the next Hero Festa banner that comes out, if I get a Bell copy, I can actually sell it to get Bravestone, but that'll be only 10. Because every time you sell a Hero Festa unit, it will only give you 10 Bravestone, which, I mean, that means you need to pull at least 10 Hero Festas to get one of these bonds. 15 most likely if you want to get an Assist Hero Bond. So it's going to be very, very hard to get these bonds. In my personal opinion, one of the changes that they need to make, in all honesty, and I've mentioned this before when it came to Hero Festa units, is I wish they would at least give us like one Bravestone per multi, because you do 20 multis anyways on those Hero Festa banners. You should do all 20 multis on those Hero Festa banners. Go from step 1 to step 20, maximize the banner as much as you can. If they give even 20 per banner, that's still so much value in my personal opinion. But I don't know if they'll ever do it or if they'll want to do it, because it'll be potentially too easy at that point. But I disagree wholeheartedly with that statement. But yeah, this is not really free right now, but this is a way for you to get a free bond for your Hero Festa unit. So there you have it. Those are all the ways to basically get bonds in this game. Of course, like I said, there is some free ways, some not so free ways, some definitely not free ways. But hopefully I could explain to you guys exactly where you can get these free copies and free limit breaking items from, so that you can maximize your units as much as possible. Now, I would also say that it is a rare commodity, so be careful of how you're using your items and make sure you're 100% sure on when you want to use your gnome tickets. Like, for example, for me, one of my biggest regrets, it was using it on this unit in particular, and I'll show you who it was exactly. It was an anniversary unit, funnily enough, but I kind of regretted it, and it was this Finn, to be quite honest, because I don't use him. I mean, it's great for me to use him in game modes like Familiar Russian stuff, right? But I don't actually use him at all, to be quite honest. Like, especially with the light team's you know, immense popularity and immense strength, I don't end up using this Finn that much. And if I had Astraeus and if I had Valletta, maybe I could have used this guy way more. But I wasted like 3,000 gnome tickets on this guy when I could have gotten 2 free assist star bonds, for example, right? You know, it's obviously, you know, there's obviously questions and, you know, queries whenever you're, you know, limit breaking your units on whether you should or you shouldn't, especially if you're using prism bonds or star bonds. So I would say just be careful of when you're using your free limit breaking items, and decide carefully whether it's the right decision to make or not. Usually when it comes to anniversary units, I would always say wait until the third part, always, to make sure you're using your star bonds efficiently, because part 1 might have some immense units, then part 2 might have some dull units, and then part 3 will have some insane units. But because you put your star bonds in part 2, part 3 is already a mess, or you can't do anything with the part 3 units, unfortunately, because you don't have the gnome tickets, right? So that's something to be careful on and to be wary on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel down below. Of course, like I said, we're so close to 1,000 subs. We're only 280 away, and I know that may seem like a big number, but I know we can do it. And of course, leave a comment down below. What are your next plans for the for your units in Danmachi Memoria Freese? What are you planning on limit breaking next? I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye, everybody.